An amazing show today. That's because we have an amazing guest. That's because you're here and you're amazing. So we're going to have a good time. Do me a favor, light up the comment section. Let me know that you're here. Type in the word here and also tell me what state or city or now country that you're listening to the show from, and share the stream with your friend. This is going to be a really good show. Hey, what's up? I'm Tony Taylor. Are you here for Leaders Lead the podcast? Let's go. Hey, how did you beat me? Look, let me tell you about this podcast. We got like 5 seconds. Leaders Lead the podcast is about leadership. Not just the leader without, but the leader within. All of these leaders that I'm talking to across the country, well, across the world now, they have one thing in common, and that's that they have overcome some insurmountable obstacles to get to where they're at today. Come on, let's go. Hey, welcome to Leaders Lead the podcast. This is our second show for today. I'm super excited. I'm talking to my brother, Enrique Acosta Gonzalez. I'm super excited. I've been on his podcast before. I admire Enrique. He's making some pretty impactful moves. I'm looking at what we got on the board. He is the Navy veteran, the CEO of Leadership Triad, and he is the recipient of an amazing award, 2021 Top Thought Leader and Media Professional. What's up, brother?
What's going on, Tony? How you doing?
Oh man, I'm doing good, man. Hey, I was today, doing my show, like I said, doing it back to back. And I logged on LinkedIn and I'm like, man, look at this dude, man. We both working today, man. We both hustling. What's up with that?
That's right, bro. You gotta earn your keep. That's how it is. But yeah, no, it's been an exciting day. First time I pulled a double header, and now actually this is a triple. So I'm doing good. I'm batting well, man.
Yeah, I can't complain. At first, I'm like, man, I got 2 shows today, but hey, I'm looking at you, man. You're willing and ready. You got 3. This is show number 3. Man, before we even start, bro, I want to tell you, man, I really admire the moves that you're making. I'm really inspired by you, not just, all of your amazing accomplishments and the things that you've achieved. I admire you because you show up as your true self. One day I was scrolling and I saw the show that you have. It's a faith-based show that you have. And I'm pretty sure that there might be some out there, right? But I've never seen anybody do this on LinkedIn. And I'm like, man, that's a man that's living in his true purpose, not afraid to be himself, not afraid to show people who he really is. And that is something that, like, full transparency, that's something that, especially with LinkedIn, right, that I struggle with. Like, how, like, I want to show up as me. I don't want to show up as this freaking bot. Hello, my name is Tony Taylor. I work as this. But like, I see that in you, not that the bot, but I see you being you. Was that an easy transition for you to make?
No, it's never easy to go outside of the rails, right? It's never easy. But if there's anything that anyone on the face of this earth needs to know, is that I'm a redeemed man. That means that, I was paid for. And if I am not proud of that, if I am not boastful about that, then everything else from that point on is just residual. So if I am a great leader, it's because I've been redeemed by the greatest of leaders.
Wow.
And he teaches me how to lead. And then I can actually execute it before I teach it to somebody else. And that's the area that most people don't understand about leadership. You can learn a whole lot, but you need to execute first before you go teach it. So
now I think that's amazing that you say that. I remember when I first got my leadership role in the Marine Corps, Like I wasn't ready, man. I was a good Marine, right? I was a good Lance
Mhm.
Corporal. And I'm pretty sure you work with Lance Corporal. I was freaking
Yep.
cocky, freaking arrogant. And I
Love my
had
Marines.
yeah, most Marines, right? I was super cocky, super arrogant, and I put on those stripes, and I realized that I hadn't dealt with who I was as a person. I hadn't dealt with the things that you got to deal with as far as
Yep.
leadership. I wasn't leading myself, and then like full circle to now, right? To right now, I'm noticing a commonality with leadership, the real leaders, and the
Mhm.
real leaders. And we talked about this a little bit before. The real leaders that I've the commonality is that they've overcome some obstacles. They've had to
Yep.
overcome something, right? Is there any like situation or anything that you can remember early on to where you're like, yeah, that was my breaking point into no pun intended, you discovering the leader within. And I say that because that's the name of one of your
Right.
shows, Discovering the Leader
Right.
Within, right?
Right. Look, everybody shares that point somewhere. Somewhere. It doesn't necessarily mean in the beginning, in the middle, and the end. Mine was very early on, and I've shared this before on my podcast as a young airman, and the Navy has airmen, believe it or not.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I was
It's
gonna say,
not just
I
not
didn't
the
know
Air
that you were
Force.
in the Air Force too.
No, no, no. The Navy has airmen as part of their cycle because there's aviation rate, and those are considered airmen. So I was in the aviation community as a meteorologist and oceanographer. So early on, and the Enrique that came from Puerto Rico and was raised in the Bronx had I guess had a thick accent. I don't know. I still may retain some of that, but early on in my career, apparently it was heavy. And I had this master chief. Well, actually, he was a senior chief and then made master chief, which is really the whole joke of it all. But um, he chose to highlight my, let's just say, my imperfect English in front of
Oh,
everybody, and he
wow.
would take every opportunity to speak about it. And in meteorology, you have to brief, and so I
Hmm.
would get up in front of people to brief, and it was more like a circus show. But
Damn.
it wasn't about the weather; it was about Enrique. So that chips away at folks, especially when you're raised in. Yeah, I'm an American. I'm a U.S. citizen, and yeah, my English may not be yours. It's regional.
Yeah.
I grew up in the Bronx. We speak a certain kind of way, and then I had the Spanish influence, so all of that. But in any case, so that could have done one or two things. What it did for me was, uh, it made me angry. It made me an angry sailor. And so I decided that nobody else was ever going to speak to me or highlight me for anything other than perfection.
Mm.
And you know, hindsight, I don't know about that, because I realized after so many years, ain't nobody perfect. Ain't nobody perfect, right? So I became best friends with this red book called the Webster's Dictionary,
Mm.
and every day I would learn another word. And ironically enough, these about 3 weeks ago, I started this word of the day,
I saw
and
that.
and it reminded me of those days where I would just say, okay, I'm gonna learn how to pronounce this word. I'm gonna learn the definition of this word, so when I go to speak it, I'm actually speaking it in context. And I became lethal. You want to talk about with words, oh my goodness. So that man created a monster. If I was gonna say, he
And
created a
he had
monster.
no idea. He
He
had
had
no
no
idea what he was
idea.
creating, right?
He had no idea. He had no idea. But it got to the point that I was so good that senior leadership would come into me to write evals. And I and I was junior. They
Yeah.
should have been writing them evals. But at the same time, this is what I learned. So I learned how to get a tool and use it appropriately, use it tactically, strategically, operationally, and I used it well. And it propelled me to promotions. You know, it just does a thing, right?
Yeah.
But it all
Just from you speaking.
just from speaking. And so folks have to understand that there are perceptions out there. But if you can present yourself well with the verbal, oh my goodness. You I have stepped into rooms, no glory to me. It's just an opportunity. But I've stepped into rooms, attention, and I would be one of the junior guys.
Wow.
It's so I realized then that man gave me a superpower. He introduced me because of the way he did. Now, he never meant anything good, but from his bad, I say God turned it into good. And so I was able to develop communication in a way to captivate. So I learned that I had an ability. So it's funny how something, it's like I'm a seed, right? And here
Mhm.
goes somebody, they stomped on me and they stomped on me and they stamped on me and they laughed because I was getting deeper and deeper in the word, but they forgot that I was a seed. And then all of a sudden, this plant came up.
Oh.
So, so this plant came up and started bearing its own fruit. And so I would get accolades and I would get all this. So that happened. But I also realized how limited current leadership was, because if they had to come down here for my help, I was like, why are you in that position?
Yeah, what's going on up there? How did you get there?
Yeah, how,
Yeah.
but it wasn't that hard to understand because I had this E8 stomping on me, so it wasn't a difficult thing to understand that people were in leadership positions, not necessarily having what it took to be there.
Wow. Wow. It's funny you say that. It's almost like that pain, because I'm pretty sure that hurt you, man. It hurt you a
Oh,
lot going through there and being mocked and ridiculed because of the way that you spoke.
yeah, because it wasn't just the seniors there, my counterparts were
Damn.
there, but look, Tony, I could say this now, but there was a time, boy, if I caught that brother in the street,
So he was going to get the old Enrique, right?
I was like, because I was raised in the Bronx, right? But
I hear you. Yeah, yeah.
but there was a lot of hurt there. I had to um learn to put that aside and appreciate what God had turned it into. So a lot of times we focus on the pain and the people who caused it, and we don't see the treasure that comes from it and focus on that. And so once I started to realize that I need to not focus on that, bro, you can't do nothing about that. That man might be dead anyway. You can't do nothing about that. What can you do with what you got? What can you do with what God done did, right?
Yeah, yeah. This is good, Enrique. This is good, man. You turned your pain into your passion. And I don't know if you know this about me, but I've been vocal about it I would say the last couple of years, but I was afraid of speaking too. Like it was one of those things where, man, I would start sweating, right? I had this fear. I still have a freaking it never goes away. I just learned how to deal with it. And I realized that
Right.
that I had something to say, and that the things that come out of my mouth or out of my soul through my lips had the capability of saving somebody's life. So that's why I keep speaking. I won't stop speaking, no matter, how anxious I get in doing it. And dude, I commend you for doing that as well, because you're saving lives. Like with your show, man, I listen in, and dude, I caught one of your shows one day, the faith show, and I'm like, man, I really needed to hear that. And I want to apologize because I didn't comment, I didn't say nothing. So I didn't say nothing, which I know as a creator, we hate that, right? I hate it. So
Yeah.
yeah. So
No,
if y'all watching this right now, y'all receiving this word, go ahead, be better than me, right? Be better than me. Comment,
go ahead.
like, say something to the brother Enrique. But dude, you're so inspiring, bro, and you inspire me with your show, and I'm glad that you didn't let that guy dampen that leader, right, or that manager dampen your spirit to speak.
Well, well, he awoken, you know, for those that have been through some tough times, it's not always for your bad.
Mm.
It may be bad, but it's not always for your bad. And to be able to discern the difference is, are you headed in the right direction? Because if you're headed in the same direction that person was, you'll never see that it wasn't for your bad. You will see it as bad. And then you got a decision, right? You got to make a decision whether that's going to define you or that's just going to pain you. Something can pain you, but it doesn't have to define you.
Yeah.
And so I did feel the pain, but I didn't let it define me. I was like, yo, come hell or high water, I'm never going to be like that. And number two, as long as I'm leading, I'm never going to let that be the way I execute as a leader. And so that's what I focused on. I focused on making sure that no one under my charge would ever experience something like that. And so that's when I started to develop as a leader and saying, you know what, Enrique, so what does it call for? What that position, since you're looking and you're like, how do you get there, man? How in the world? How did they select you on a board?
Yeah.
Who did
Right.
that? Let me talk
Right.
to them people.
Right.
Instead of doing that, I say, well, okay, well, they may not be worthy of that spot. And people have to realize you don't have to be in a leadership position to have the influence in the group. I've been in many groups. I had all the influence, and the leader was just like powerless. And so what happened? That leader would end up coming to me for help. And say, and another thing you have to be careful about is, do you allow that to make you haughty?
Mm.
Because now they're coming to you. You could turn around and like say, okay, well, no, sorry, I can't help you. That's where you get to teach two times. You get to teach those around you, and you get to teach that leader a little bit of humility, that they may have tried this, that, and the other, and you didn't withhold good from them. And so you teach two people.
Wow. Yeah, it sounded like when you're talking earlier, I kept thinking about the quote, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you.
Yep.
So thank God that you were put in that situation so that you can help other people. And that's probably why that manager, probably why he was put into your life, so that you can have that divine effect on other people. Like, thank God for him being
my hair's standing up.
thank God for him, right?
You have to. So after a while, right? It wasn't immediate, bro. I'm gonna tell you right now. Like I said, I was like, "Yo, I don't let me catch you outside."
Yeah.
But once I was growing up, I was a kid. I was 18 years old, right? But once I was starting to grow up and become more acquainted with the Lord, His way, and all that, I started saying, there's no need to perpetuate what was already harmful,
Mm.
right? So what can I do just to ensure that it never happens on my watch? And if every leader took the mentality of what can I do so that it doesn't happen on my watch, imagine what kind of world we would have.
Right.
Yeah, we just can't let it perpetuate. You can't let it continue to grow because these episodes in our life, they're like weeds in the garden, right? Do you kill the whole garden because you got weeds? No, you go pinpoint down, pluck that joker out, make sure there's no roots in there, clean it out, boom, boom, and keep it going. And so life calls that of us. There's gonna be some things that are just like downright painful,
Yeah.
and but will you perpetuate it, or are you gonna just cancel that thing out and keep it moving?
I love that you're able to do that. Sometimes, man, it's so when you got those things going on in your life, it's so hard to see the good, so hard to be able to focus on developing yourself, so hard to focus on figuring out a way out of it, because sometimes it could be so dark. I remember going through certain things, especially in the military, where, dude, there was nothing good about that day, that week, that year. Freaking maybe sometimes that enlistment, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But man, I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for that experience, and thank you for sharing that. I think that it's important. Like I was telling you before, it's important for us to talk about our obstacles, because there's so many people, they look at us as, leaders or in different sectors. I look at your resume and I'm like, oh my God, that's so perfect. That guy's perfect. There's no way that he's had to go through a lot. But then my other brain says, absolutely. The other side of my brain, absolutely. That's why he's so polished. That's why he's so refined, because
Yep.
he had to work at it. And there's so many people, they think that it's going to be handed to them without having to work for it, without having to pick up that red book to change their freaking life. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, I think that that's amazing, man. And I applaud you for turning that around, because you're helping out the future generation. What made you join the Navy instead of the Marine Corps? I'm just curious.
Yeah, that's funny because actually, I went to the recruiting station, and it wasn't the Marines. I was going to the Air Force,
Mhm.
but like I said, I was bilingual, more Spanish than English at the time. So I take my ASVAB, and it was one of those, you took the ASVAB because it got you out of school early. You know,
Yeah, my recruiter,
I
they were giving away pizza.
I didn't prepare for that. There was no book. I didn't have an ASVAB book. There was nothing like that. I just went and took it. I cut a 45.
Oh,
45 AFQT. Under normal circumstances, that's not good enough for anybody. But I went to the Air Force, and they were like, "Oh, I'm sorry, we just raised our quota to 50." I was like, "Oh, really? Okay, all right." So for 5 points, okay, all right. The next office was the Navy. That's how that happened. I
wow.
went in there. I said, "Hey, bro, I just came from here. They told me 45 ain't good enough." They were like, "Let me see that."
Close the door. Lock it.
So yeah, they were like, "Yeah, 45 AFQT maybe may not be good enough for them, but in math, science, and communication, you got the highest, and you qualify for meteorology and oceanography." I was like, "Get out of here! Really?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Well, check this out. I'm here in Puerto Rico. All I care about is being in the office and that it's air conditioned. Can you give me that?" They were like, "Guess what? AGs, which is meteorology,
Yeah.
AGs, they work in air conditioned spaces." I said, "Bet, sign me up."
Enrique
That's
from the Bronx is freaking meteorologist, just like that.
I'm like, how did that happen? But sure enough, man, meteorology and oceanography. 26 years later, I retired.
Wow. How that dude, that's so amazing. That is amazing for you to go there and for you to get that score. It took me a couple of times, man. I had to get a tutor for him. I had to go to the library, check out some books. I think I was
Oh man.
I don't know what I ended up getting, but I was barely there. So that's good stuff. So you said you did 26 years in the Navy, huh?
26, man. It was wonderful, and it flew by, man. And look, had I made 9, I still would have been in there. I tell you
Really?
that right now. Yeah. I made it to 8 and got it was that time, man. You did your time. You either promoted or you didn't. Promotion cycle comes up. They choose 2. It wasn't me. And so I had to 6 months to get out.
Wow. Wow. What how was your transition like?
And I'm still
Good.
in transition, and it's been 6 years.
Oh wow. Yeah, I think everybody to get out, freaking no matter if it's been 6 or 2 or 1 or 30.
The
Yeah, we're all in transition.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we tried to cap off our military career with the word transition, but you transition every 3 years.
Mm,
Every 3 years in the military, you transition. It is nothing special. It's something that happens. The difference between transitioning in the military is that you go from one similar environment to another, something similar. So from one environment to something similar. There's not much difference outside of the people, the personnel. You know, their same governance, the same instructions, the same everything. But when you leave, there are none. There's no rule book. The people don't look the same. The
yeah.
people don't talk the same. The people don't even think the same.
And
Our
that's
country is
hard.
our country is divided into like 3 or 4 different sects, and they all don't talk, right?
Yeah.
So we leave a structured, well-maintained, and curated type of environment to all this mess.
Yeah.
That's how I refer to it. It's all this mess. And so you don't ever feel like you fit in. It's
No, I
I,
see
I
that.
have not felt not one day where I fit in.
Hmm.
And it's
I
been
think a
6
lot of
years.
veterans feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even it's weird. Even sometimes even amongst veterans in the corporate society, like we could even be together and we could still feel isolated. It's weird. Sometimes I think I know the answer to that. I feel like it's purpose sometimes. It's purpose is the way that we're aligned, it's the structure, but then sometimes I'm just like I have no clue. I don't understand the answer to that. And I feel like once we do get understand the answer to that, that will help with all the veteran suicides that we have. Man, it's always that's always a mystery to me. That's interesting that you said that you feel that way because I've been in a bunch of situations where I'm just like, what am I doing? what am I doing? And then you're like, man, should I join again? And then it's like, no, that's not for me. There's another chapter. I don't know what the chapter is, right? And I think a lot of people they go through that, and that's one thing. If you're listening to this, you're watching this, I would just tell you it's hard transition from anything. It sucks, but if you have the understanding that it's not going to immediately come to you, you have the understanding that it's something that you have to work at, right? Every single day you have to work at it. That's why dude, if I put every freaking job that I had on my LinkedIn, I refuse to do it. I might do it, but it'll look crazy. You know what I mean? It'll look crazy. But I've jumped after I got out of the Marines, man. I jump, and it's like, dude, where do I fit in? And it sounds like you figured out a place for you to fit in. You're an entrepreneur. You have your own company, leadership triad. Did I say that right?
No, it's actually Triad Leadership Solutions.
Triad Leadership Solutions. I
Yeah,
promise I did my research.
I know. I know. But you know, that name is not important. What's important is this. For all of the folks that are coming out of the military, you have an opportunity to do something you love.
Mm,
You got to figure out what it is that you love. Now, to get this point. If what you love doesn't make you money, then you might not be doing what you love because you got to go make money.
hmm
Okay? But if what you love can make you money, do that. You know, there's plenty of people sucking at what they do.
Right. No,
There's,
yeah,
there's
definitely.
plenty of people doing that. We don't need to add one more.
Yeah.
Figure out what it is you love. And if it can make you money, make the money. It's not going to be overnight. I'll guarantee you that. But if you keep plugging at it, you'll get there. And if there's anything that we can do as military people, we're going to stick it until it gets there.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, that's why the training cycle never stops.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
You're
the
going to
rule of consistency. You keep
keep
going.
going until it actually results in the money side. But you will always love your job, man. And a lot of people, they just go after the money. They don't go after the love, and they hate their job, and they don't know how to use the money. So
You're right.
you have to take
You're
a
right.
chance on yourself. Bet on yourself. And so that's what I did. You know, after a couple of work that, you know, for a person that loves leadership and already learned a whole ton because of that incident in the beginning, I can't go into a work site that I'm subordinate and deal with people's mess. It ain't gonna happen, right? So what's gonna end up happening for me? I'm gonna get pissed off
And
because
go
this
back to the old Enrique.
no, I'll never go back to old Enrique, that's for sure. But what will happen is that I'm going to try to educate this leader. And this happened to me, Tony. I went to a job. The leader was in a position because of tenure.
Mm,
That is
I
all.
hate that.
That
Yeah.
is all.
Basically, he or she or
They've
they've
been
been rotten
wait
in that same spot.
waiting their turn. Here I come fresh off the street, but not a novice now. Fresh off the street, but I wasn't born yesterday, right?
Yeah.
So not a novice. And then I identify some areas that this person needs to grow in. And so
I like that.
I
I'm
I
pretty sure they go over well, but I love
I
that.
yeah, I proceed to offer my services, and they didn't like it. So what do you have to what does a person like me have to decide? I have to decide whether I'm willing to succumb to the 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 malpractice of this leader, because that's what it is, or I can say, no way, Jose, not here, not now, not never. I'm never gonna be under the type of leadership that I had to suffer way in the beginning. That ain't gonna happen ever again. So here's your ID card, and here's your credit card, and here's your, you know, whatever, and y'all have a good day. And so that's what I chose.
Wow.
I can't tell you, man. When I went to HR and say, hey, yeah, this didn't work out, so I'm gonna leave now.
After how
Dude,
long? How long had you been on the job?
7 months. 7 months. And Tony, I couldn't even open the door because of the stress. I reached out for the door knob and I couldn't turn it.
Man.
And
Yeah.
I was like, no, no, bro, no. I called my wife. I said, baby, today's the day. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. She said, come home, baby. I got you.
Wow.
And I said, that's all I needed. Pack my
That's
stuff.
incredible. That's incredible. You and I, we share the same experience, bro. Um, my wife just said, "That's awesome. You have to value yourself."
Yeah.
She and I were in the same situation when I got out of the Marine Corps. I had this idea that how we are in the military. It's about the promotion. If you're not moving up,
Mm-hmm.
there's something wrong with you, right?
Yep.
So for me, I'm like, when I got out of the Marines, I'm going to take the corporate world by storm, right? And this is
Mm.
after. I think this is after I did my stint working as a firefighter. I'm going to take the corporate world by storm, and I feel like I did that. I mean, I got promoted. Each job that I had, promoted, got the amount of money that I needed. And I remember sitting in the car and just bawling my eyes out, bro, because I was so miserable,
Mm.
so freaking miserable,
Yep.
but hurt because I felt like almost like I'm miserable, but then there's another side of me telling me that, dude, you have no reason to complain. You're making all of this money. You have no reason to complain, but I was miserable. I was chasing something that I didn't necessarily need. And I ended up calling my wife and I said, is it bad that I wish that I can get fired right now? But I know that will never happen because I'm giving this job. I'm giving these people so much of myself. There's no way that it's going to happen. And that happened a series of times. And she said the same thing that your wife said to you: come home, baby.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the best feeling in the world to have my wife believe in me. And if it wasn't for her, like, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. I would probably be at work someplace, wishing that I can get the time off. But I was going to ask you, how important is that for you being a leader, for you being an entrepreneur, having the backing of your spouse?
Yeah, it's the most important thing you could ever have. You're gonna get money. It may trickle, it may flood in.
Yeah.
That's gonna come. Uh, you're gonna get followers because if they like what you do, they're gonna follow you. But if you don't have the support of your wife, your spouse, right? You don't have anything.
Yeah.
You don't have anything. So, if there's anything that you must have, especially going down an entrepreneur route, is that support. When I heard those words, the weight of the world went away. It went away. And I'm telling you, I said, I called her, she said that. I went up to HR. I said, today's my last day. She was like, huh? Oh, you mean you're just gonna go home early? I said, no, I'm going home. I ain't coming back.
Wow. Wow. And you knew that you were good because she had your back.
Yeah, there was no question. My hey, I'm clear when I communicate. That communication was clear.
So
Yeah, y'all have a good day. I ain't coming back.
you're better than me, bro. When I finally quit, I'm not gonna say what job because I think somebody from that job might be watching right now. But when I finally quit, they said, name your price. How much is it? How much would it take for you to stay? And I remember I made a couple calls where I told them, no, I'm good. And they said, well, just think about it, sleep on it or whatever. I wasn't as I was still kind of half in, half out because I'm like, maybe there's a way that I can make it. And I remember calling my mom and saying, like, what do you think about this? They're offering me this and that. She's like, what do your wife say? And I'm like, well, I already know what she's gonna say. She goes, ask your wife, see what she say about that. I talked to her and she said, absolutely not. She go, I don't care what the number is. Absolutely not. You need to chase, you need to continue chasing and being on the pursuit of your happiness. and I'm thinking, maybe she just don't want to hear me complain for another freaking 20 or 30 years. But yeah, I think that's fascinating. How we come into the roles, or we come into the light of success not only, but because of the aid and the light of our spouses. That's super cool.
And look at, and you mentioned something that it just it's just astonishing that this is just the way it is. When you said, "Hey, I'm out," they try to throw money at you.
Oh yeah.
And so I need folks to understand that that's not the end goal. Why would they throw money if it was worth something?
Yeah.
Money is not where it's worth. They try to impede your happiness. That's what they try to do. The lady asked me, because that's why I was like, she said, how much would you stay for? I said, you couldn't pay me $120,000 for me to stay here. I told her those words. You could not pay me 120 and I would stay here. And I walked. Wow. And that was the happiest drive home ever.
Wow. I love
let's
that.
Let's just say I haven't taken that ride since then.
Yeah. So you rode away and never went back. And I know you're a busy man, and I know we got to get off here. Okay, cool.
I'm good, brother.
I was going to ask you, what are some of your biggest obstacles that you faced today?
Today, actually, I don't think I had any today.
Wow.
And if they did pop up, they didn't make a dent.
I love that.
Yeah, I don't, and Tony, there's a lot of days like this for me. There is. There may be some challenging days, but there is no obstacle that can stop me. None.
Wow.
None. I'll say it more in line with God has all my obstacles. That's it.
Yeah. I was just going to ask you, how did you get there?
Yeah. God has them all, and he's big enough. So I don't sweat that stuff. When it pops up, I look at it and say, yeah, you're an obstacle. Good luck.
Good luck. Good luck. Wow, man, that is incredible. So regarding leadership, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the emerging leaders, what are some of the biggest tips that you can give somebody that they're like, hey, I'm trying to figure out this leadership thing, or they're trying to navigate the ineffective leadership of somebody else? What would be some tips that you would give?
Well, first of all, for those that are trying to figure out leadership, you can't. You can't figure out leadership. You have to live out leadership.
Oh,
I mean, that's just it. And the reason why we have so many problems in leadership is because people are trying to figure it out. And while they're trying to figure it out, they're killing people's dreams. They're killing people's relationships. They're killing people's homes. They're destroying lives. So please don't try to figure out leadership. Live it. Oh, how do I live it? That's what we're here for.
yeah.
If you want to know how to live it, then you get a hold of Tony and I, and then we can get you there. But don't try to figure it out. Number 2, get over yourself. Get over yourself. You ain't that big. I was talking to my son. I said, son, do you know how big our galaxy is? He's like, yeah, I saw it in the, we watch a lot of, galaxies. Do you know how big our universe is? He said, yeah. I said, did you know that we are one of gazillion universes in the in the multiverse? I mean, this thing is, if you keep going, our universe shows up as a dot.
Mm.
Our universe
Our universe.
as a dot, right? I said, if the universe is a dot, then what is our solar system? That's a speck on a dot. And so if it's a speck on a dot, then what's our planet? That's another speck on that speck of a dot. And you keep, we're nothing but a speck when you talk about what is. So get over yourself, humble yourself, and then you can learn how to live leadership. Leadership begins with you. It does not begin outside. It begins with you. And if you can learn how to grow leadership from inside out, we won't have any problems. But the people are trying to figure it out. And guess
Wow.
what, Tony? They're getting paid for figuring it out.
Getting
Trying to
paid.
figure, they're getting paid for trying to figure.
I knew that was going to be your answer, man. You know what's is really funny, man, how our worlds parallel. It was super funny. You and I we graduated from John Maxwell's coach and speaker training the same day. That's
Yep.
super crazy. I remember
Same day.
looking and seeing you, and I'm like, "What's up? That's my boy Enrique."
Yep.
How crazy
day.
is that? You
No,
know?
it's there's no body that gets to interact with me without God having already said it.
Ooh.
Nobody. And when you realize that, you're expecting. You're expecting. Nobody shows up on my doorstep by surprise. I just didn't know they were gonna,
Yeah.
but God did. And so he's already prepared me for something. I just don't know what yet. And so when I see somebody come approach me, or somebody, hey, can we connect? Hey, can we? I'm like, yeah. Now, not everything, is with good intent, right? Not
Right. Oh, yeah.
everything is with good intent. But God's got that too. Like I say, oh yeah, you're an obstacle. Good luck. And so our paths meet and our paths cross, and we're even having a conversation tonight. Somebody heard something
Yeah.
and said, "Oh my goodness, man, that's me. Oh my goodness, I need to do that." Yeah, I've been trying to figure out leadership, and that's why I'm like who I am.
Yeah.
It's all preordained and predestined. We're just playing our part, man.
Just playing our part. I
Play
love
our part.
that. I know that the viewers, the listeners, they're saying, man, how do I learn some of this leadership? How do I learn from Enrique? Where can they find you?
Well, if you want to learn, then you can go to YouTube. Yeah, you could go to YouTube. Developing the Leader Within podcast resides on YouTube.
Okay.
So they can go to any of the platforms on podcasting and find it. Developing the Leader Within podcast. But I always like seeing it. That's why I started my show video. And so every episode is on there, even the ones that when I started, so you can laugh, right? But
Me
then,
too. Me too.
but
Don't,
then
yeah,
it
me
goes,
too.
but they're all on there. So that's if you want to learn. If you want to develop, that's a whole different kind of story. And for that, we have to get intimate in a way where I can actually get you there, right? So that is through triadleadershipsolutions.com. And you could book a scheduled meeting there. We can talk about your assessment where you are, and we can go on from there, right? But there's two different things. You can learn or you can develop. Yeah, you got to make a choice.
I think y'all should go into more of the developing side. That's what sounds good to me, man. Hey, dude, it's been such a pleasure talking to you. It's always a pleasure. I can't wait for us to figure out a way to share a stage together. I know we were talking about that previously. I think it would be a blast. I really enjoyed learning from you. Dude, today has been amazing. I've wrote down so much stuff, dude, just from our conversation. And dude, from the bottom of my heart, bro, dude, I love watching you move. I'm inspired by you. Definitely a student by the things that you're putting out. Keep up the good work, man. And thank you.
Oh, I appreciate it, Tony. And I love what you're doing on your end. I love, and this is a purely Christian love your wife because of what she's doing for you, man. I really appreciate her supporting you. There's nothing better than that. For any husband out there that's living right,
Just living right.
There's nothing better than that. And
Yeah.
so kudos to her. Tell her thank you.
I will. Same as you and your family. Thank you so much. And for the viewers and the listeners, check us out next week, Thursday and Friday, 5 p.m. I think. I'll have to, I'll have to ask my wife what no, Thursday and Friday, 5 o'clock. Leaders Lead the Podcast. Again, I'm super excited for all the love and the engagement for both of the shows tonight. It's been amazing. I love our Leaders Lead family. Man, I'm about to get emotional. No.
Hey, get it, boy.
Right. Y'all take care and stay tuned for this video. Whew, that was great. If you enjoyed this podcast, well, I'm sure you enjoyed it. If you're still here with us, what I want you to do is head over to your favorite podcast and streaming network and give us a download, subscribe to the channel, and also let us know what you think about the show. And from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you for the things that you've done. Thank you for the things that you're doing. And especially thank you for the things that you're going to do, because I know that you're going to do something amazing.